Calling all ninjas. Calling all ninjas. It's time for Lyme Ninja Radio.
Hello, everybody, and good evening. Welcome to Lyme Ninja Radio Live. Hope you have your water with you. Keep you hydrated. It's the most important thing you can do. Tonight, I am very, very excited to have a special guest with us. It's Dr. Jennifer Platt, and she is a doctor of public health, which is really cool. I'm going to explain why in a second, but let me read you her bio first, so I give you a sense of who she is. And we're going to have a discussion about preventing tick bites and not getting sick in the first place. And maybe that's the most important thing about Lyme disease and all the other diseases that come along with ticks and bug bites in general, is to not get it. So if you can avoid getting bit in the first place, then you don't have to go through the HELL of having Lyme disease. So this is who Jennifer Platt is. Dr. Jennifer Platt has decades of experience in public health and environmental program development. She has led the creation of a nationally recognized award-winning education program, and she has spoken extensively to audiences of all sizes. Jennifer has always had an interest in environmental issues and improving human health, and she has spent her career using systems thinking approaches to solve complex health problems. She also has personal experience with tick-borne illnesses, and that led her to create tickwarriors.com, which is a website, in 2016. And she sells great products on there. They're eco-friendly tick protection things for people, pets, and property, as she likes to say. And so let's bring her on here. Let me switch over here back to the control panel, and we'll bring up Dr. Jennifer. Hi there.
Hi, Mackay.
Let me get rid of this thing across the bottom too. So let's see if I can figure out. There we go. And there we are. I'm so excited you're here. This is such a timely topic. The snow is starting to melt here in central New York. The temperatures are above freezing. The sap's running, so we're excited. We're outside, but that means the rodents are coming out of their nests, and they're bringing their infected friends along with them. So this is the perfect time to start getting prepared to not get bit.
Yes, that's true. And actually, in places like the southern United States, ticks can be biting year round anytime it's over 32. In fact, it's ticks are fair game, even up in the Northeast.
It really is. Jennifer, we have some people joining us, so I just want to say hello to them. Bring them up on screen for a second here. So Ken says, hi, neighbor. Hi, Ken. How's it going? And Shannon McGraw, hi. Oh. Hi, Shannon. And, of course, Aurora. How's it going, Aurora? I don't recognize that picture. That's my daughter, but she's saying hello to a horse there. So if you're tuning in with us, please go ahead. Let us know that you're here. Say hello. Let us know where you're from. We'd love to recognize you and see who's joining in. And that way we can give a little bit more detailed and customized talk about preventing, because things are a little bit different depending on where you are in the country.
Yes.
Oh, now, so this is interesting. My Lyme disease support group that we have here in New Hartford, we gave a talk a couple years ago up north a little bit. So up north, we get a lot of snow here in central New York, but at what they call the northern tier, the Tug Hill area, they get that much more snow. It is like they get just so much snow. It's incredible. And there's a man up there is telling a story. He said, you're talking ticks aren't active below freezing, but I was out snowshoeing and the temperature was only 10 degrees. I came home, he says, and pulled the tick off me. So this whole idea that they're not active at freezing, take it with a grain of salt. If you're out in the woods, if you're out in the edges somewhere, the ticks could be active just depending on the animal that walked by or the foliage that's nearby. So you're never safe. You got to always be aware. Would you agree with that?
I I absolutely do. And, you can, so of course, ticks can hunker down in the nice warm underbelly of a deer or the mice, and or under the snow. And you also have microclimate. So if the sun's shining down and you have a really nice warm spot, the ticks it's going to be warmer than, it's going to be warm enough in that particular little area, even though the air temperature may be below freezing.
Yes, and there's the whole conversation about the climate changing and getting warmer, and so the habitats of ticks may be expanding. The other interesting thing I heard from an entomologist or tick expert from the University of Maryland, he said that the Lyme, particularly the Lyme bacteria, we've heard of heat shock proteins, right? They're help animals and ourselves deal with heat. They're cold shock proteins. Mm. And so the Borrelia gives the tick a cold shock protein. So it's actually more resilient to the cold weather. And they're scary enough. These ticks is like, they don't need any help. But it seems like Lyme disease is just everybody's worst nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, ticks have been around for millions of years. They found them in amber, encased in amber, so it's clear that they're going to be doing the cucaracha with the cockroaches after
we're all gone, right?
You'll be the ticks and the cockroaches together.
It seems that way. So will you give us just a brief overview of kind of the life cycle of the tick and how they move from different types of mammals and how they end up close to your home or in your home or on your pets?
So, Mackay, I'll give you a very brief version of that. And
because I know there are thousands of iterations, but like, what's the
true? It's true. And the thing is that, as far as I'm concerned, that there's two main ticks that are causing the bulk of the problems right now. We have the black-legged tick, of course, and that's the tick that's primarily responsible, according to current understanding, for transmitting the Borrelia. And it is very predominant in the northeastern United States, but it is all the way down the eastern U.S. And, if you go out west, you've got the western black-legged tick, and it has really a 2-year life cycle. And in the Northeast, they know that when, the larval ticks are traveling around on mice, and then, as they get bigger, ticks always need a blood meal to hatch to the next life cycle stage. So when they're born, they're the larvae. They have a blood meal, and then they transform into nymphs. When they're larvae, they only have 6 legs. When they feed on a meal and then they hatch or molt again, they have 8 legs. So they're arachnids. They are in the spider family. And so the nymphs are the next stage. And then when the nymphs feed, they become adults. So for the black-legged tick, that takes about 2 years. The other tick in town, as far as I'm concerned, is the Lone Star tick. And that one is very famous because the female has the white dot on her back. The life cycle isn't quite as long for that one, but of course, when it's born, it has 6 legs. It needs a meal, and the big difference between those two is that the Lone Star tick can thrive all life cycle stages on deer. And so, deer are tick factories, and they have such a large range. They're picking up the larval ticks. They're transmitting them far away, the nymphs, and then the adults. And that's a big difference between the two. The Lone Star tick is also very aggressive. The black-legged tick is very docile, hanged around in one place, does the thing that they call questing, waiting for animals to come by.
Right.
And the Lone Star tick is a hunter. It will sense CO2 from up to 100 feet away. I kid you not. It'll raise its front legs and come. And I've often said it might be a good thing that we really can't see them that well, because I know there are places when you walk outside and there are lots of Lone Star ticks. Yes.
Now, but let's clear this up a little bit. They're not like a mosquito and can cover that 100 feet in 2 seconds and zap you. They still have to crawl, right? Now I understand they're more aggressive, but if you're out camping or sitting or in a blind hunting or something like that, they will hunt, as opposed to the black-legged tick that'll just sit there and say, God, I hope the hunter comes down of his blind. The Lone Star tick will crawl up there and try to find you. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I mean, I had a guy who was a mechanic, and he's working on his gravel driveway, underneath the truck. And he said they eventually come.
Wow.
He'll be out there working, and then all of a sudden the ticks have shown up because they sensed him.
So what's the best way to keep a tick from crawling on you?
So
prevent that? Is there something that'll repel them or kill them? What do you recommend?
Yeah. So, we've all been conditioned to use repellent on our skin. And one of the main reasons I started Tick Warriors is we now have moved beyond just protecting our skin and using repellents on our skin. There's a whole multi-pronged approach that you can use to protect yourself, your pets, and your property. So in addition to repellents on our skin, we all know about the various collars that can be used on pets. But I started Tick Warriors because there are safe and effective natural ways to do that. And I really want people to know that we have moved beyond just repellent, like you said.
So let's start there. Let's start with
the repellent,
the person, and then let's go out to, let's say your pet, and then let's talk about keeping them out of the yard. Because really, it doesn't matter what setting you are, you're going to be there, whether you're in your own yard or whether you're out, taking a walk in the woods. And that's the other thing. I mean, you talk to some people now, they've gotten bit a few times or have Lyme disease, or even just terrified. It's almost like the coronavirus, right? People are terrified of going out, and you can't let these ticks run your life. It's important to be educated and take precautions, but it can be prevented, and even if you do get bit and get infected, if you get treated early and you know what you're looking for and you're aware of the risk. The problem is, the worst problem I've talked to, and I'm sure you've talked the same thing, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people. The worst problem is when somebody says, gee, could this be Lyme disease? And an expert says, nah, it can't be. We don't have any in this area, or you don't have the right, the local public health says there's nothing in this area, so therefore you don't have Lyme disease. It couldn't be Lyme disease, couldn't be Borrelia, couldn't be Bartonella. That's impossible. And then so they go through years and years, and by that time the infection has spread and taken root, and it's so hard. It's like getting dandelions out of your lawn. It's so hard to get it out once it's in there. Right?
Yeah. Yes, it's true. That's true.
Okay, so what do you got?
So what we've got is, the first step is personal protection, right? This is a repellent that has actually been on the market for quite a while now. It's called BioUD, and the UD stands for undecanone. That is one of the handful of CDC approved ingredients that is not only safe enough for pregnant women, but it is all natural. That it comes from the wild tomato plant. And this product is the repellent. And the thing about this that's different from pretty much all other repellents on the market is you can use it on both your skin and your clothes.
So that's what I was going to ask. That's safe to put on your skin.
Yes. So you put it on your skin and you put it on your clothes. And I have a 11-year-old now. He's been trained for many years now. The bottle is always by the door. When he goes outside, he knows he's spraying from, pretty much toe to shoulder. This is because it's natural. It's not going to last 6 to 8 or 20 hours like DEET will, right?
Okay.
Treat it like sunscreen and reapply it every couple of hours. And, one trick that I've seen, tickencounter.org is a really great website for the A to Z of ticks. And one of the tricks I've seen Dr. Tom Mather advise people to do is you actually kind of roll up your sleeves and your pants legs and spray the inside and then roll them back down. Yep. So that's additional protection as well. If they happen to be crawling up, they're going to be repelled.
And so what do you think of the permethrin soaked and treated clothing?
So I feel like there's a time and a place for everything, and people always have to weigh the risks versus their needs. And my big caution for people on using the permethrin clothing is if they're going to deplete. I have seen studies where they're finding the permethrin in your sweat. So, down here in the humid South, it's very difficult if you're going to be out working in hot, sweaty field conditions. Problems can't be solved at the level they're created, right? I don't want people exposing themselves to permethrin because they wore clothes that were treated and then they started sweating a lot. So I really advise people, if they're going to be using the permethrin treated clothing, to please try not to sweat.
Good luck. But then how about on something like shoes?
Yeah,
shoes, or the outside of pants. But you're really saying be careful not to put it where it can get in contact with your skin and then get rehydrated, because you put it on, you're supposed to let it dry, but if you sweat again, it gets rehydrated and then it can transfer, is what you're saying, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Boots and shoes are great. That's a great application for the permethrin if you don't want to go with the natural route.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we've got this great product. You can put it on your skin. It's all natural. It repels. So maybe you've got some permethrin. I can never say it right. It's PER.
I know. I
want to say pro, but it's permethrin or something like that. And you put that on the outside of your boots. If you got socks outside your pants, if you're one of those people, you can do that. Now, what's the next layer out to protect yourself?
Okay, so we have people, we have pets. And we have
pets are I think the sneaky vector for Lyme. I really do. I think we really have to be careful of what we're letting in and out of our house on our animals.
Absolutely. And I always laugh when you see a research study that shows something that we pretty much already knew, but they had to go and do a research.
But you have to test it, right? Water is hot, but you have to scientifically prove it, right?
So I went to a conference last year and it said pet owners are more likely to contract tick-borne diseases. So I had to laugh because it's so obvious, right? But they did prove it. Yeah. That, of course, the ticks are coming inside on the animals, and then they like to go to the humans, especially those Lone Star ticks. So, because they like this, they're heading towards the CO2. So, of course, there are the conventional collars that people are using. I've got a couple of products that we're using at Tick Warriors that I stand by, and I use them on my own animals. The first one is called Ticks Off. And I don't know if you can see the label there is "Too Slick for Ticks" is their tagline.
That's funny.
What the woman that invented this decided, she said to herself, if the ticks can't latch on to the animals and get onto the animals, then they can't come inside, right? The problem with a lot of the chemical collars is that while they're in the process of dying, or until they've bitten the animal, they can, they're not going to die until they've bitten the animal, and in the meantime they can still get onto the humans. So this you rub into their fur, almost like a conditioner. And there's they've got lavender smell and eucalyptus, and you rub it into their fur once a week, and it keeps their fur nice and soft. And the ticks cannot, they have little barbs on their legs, right? They cannot latch on to the fur, and it works on dogs and horses.
So that's a nice idea. So this is a mechanical treatment. So it's not so much that they don't like the smell or something, makes them sick to their stomach or whatever to repel them, but it's like they literally can't grab on. And there's nothing to grab on.
On to the dogs, and also it works on horses.
Sure. So anything. So I would assume it work on a cat as well, right?
So cats are a little bit tricky.
How come?
Because they lick their fur, and you don't want to expose them to some of the essential oils that are in a lot of the repellents. And absolutely, permethrin is toxic to them. So cats are tricky. And what I tell people to do with their cats is to give them coconut oil on their food.
Really?
Coconut oil is a great repellent. And just give them a dollop of coconut oil on their food in the morning and at night. And that's, something a lot of people already have.
That's like a $10 tip right there. So that one that's new to me completely. So, so if people consume coconut, does that work the same way, or is it something special about the cat's digestion that gets it to their skin? Or do we have to rub ourselves all over with coconut oil?
There hasn't. I haven't seen any studies. I just can tell you almost all of our products have coconut oil in them.
Okay.
I think it's just a great all-around ingredient to use.
Yeah, and since we're talking about cats, I want to highlight particularly the black-legged tick doesn't love to feed on cats.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's not going to sense a warm body, grab on, right? Because the black-legged tick is really the zombie of ticks, right? It's just reaching to grab, and whatever comes by, it's going to latch onto. If it happens to be your cat, then it's going to hitch a ride. Now, it's not going to want to feed on it, so it's going to drop off. And if your cat's coming in and out, it may drop off in your bed, on your sofa, right? On the living room rug, wherever. And then that tick is going to start its questing behavior again, looking for another ride or you.
Yeah.
So just because ticks don't feed, particularly black-legged ticks don't love to drink cat blood, doesn't mean that your cat will not carry it into your house. Don't make that mistake, right?
Right. And remember, again, the Lone Star tick, it's not going to wait. It's going to seek you out. So I have to say that the Lone Star tick is taking over populations. I know of at least historically black-legged tick population in very, very primitive areas of Martha's Vineyard that have now been taken over by the Lone Star tick.
Right, because the name implies that you're just going to get that in Texas or somewhere in the Southwest, right? It's no longer the case. The habitat is really swung up east, right?
Yeah, the Lone Star is because of the white dot on its back. It's not even originated out of Texas. It's it's just.
See, that's a mistake I made. I assumed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing is you're the co-founder, your friend and co-founder of Tick-Borne Conditions United.
Yes,
right?
Beth Harrison. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. She's very familiar with this tick because that's the tick that carries the alpha-gal allergy, right?
Yeah.
And this is my worst nightmare, is to get this. And so for those of you who don't know, the alpha-gal, you develop an allergy to mammal products, flesh, proteins. So you can't, that's it. No more burgers. It's like, you're done. Or pork, no pulled pork sandwiches.
No bacon,
it's like, it's over. No bacon. I don't know what I would do.
No medications with gelatin in them, vaccinations, personal
Jello
care products. I mean, the list goes on and on.
So, and these ticks can also carry the usual suspects as well. Yeah. So it's don't get bit, right? Okay. So now we've got you coated. We've got your pet protected.
Yeah.
What about the yard?
One more product real quick.
Okay, sure.
And actually, this is for both pet and people. This is called Toto. It's funny. Okay, Toto, tick on, tick off is what that stands for. And this is if you actually, well, if you live in the South, you know what chiggers are. They're nasty.
I got chiggers once as a young boy.
Yeah,
It was
you probably
a
never
week
thought
of no fun.
This is a great product for washing down at the end of the day after you've been outside, been out in the field, or stepped in a chigger nest or something. You can wash down with that. It's a soap. And you can also use it if you get a tick on you or your dog. You spray it with that. It's going to kill it within seconds. And then just, grab it like you would anyway and pull it out.
Okay, so I have two questions, and first, actually, one is from the comments. And do you know if the Lone Star tick is in Missouri?
Yes, the Lone Star tick is absolutely in Missouri.
Okay, sorry, Missourians.
Yeah. Lone Star tick is largely up and down the eastern seaboard now, as far west as Oklahoma, at least, and up into Indiana, I think Michigan. I mean, the Lone Star tick is probably the east, safely you can say, the eastern half of the United States.
And let's pause there for a second, because I want to highlight is you do trainings for companies all over the place. So that have workers outdoors, they want to keep their workers healthy and safe. So they ask you to come in and do a training. So, and I don't mean to insult people. There's so many people out there who have so much knowledge about Lyme disease and just an encyclopedia, but you have got that extra level of credibility and a research background in public health. You have a doctorate in public health from UNC. Go Tar Heels. Go Heels, right? So I mean, it's what you're saying is not just opinion. It's fact-based. It's research-based. This is the real deal. People pay you to give the information that we're giving out tonight.
It's true. And from an employer perspective, it seems like there's a obligation to train your workers on how and to provide protection on avoiding ticks in the field. And honestly, Mackay, everywhere I go, people are so hungry for the information. No pun intended, really. I mean, people want to know. They want to know about ticks. They want to know what kind of ticks are in their area, what diseases they're causing, how they can protect themselves and their loved ones. It's just so important. And it has flown under the radar. So that's one of the things that we're doing with our sister company at Tick-Borne Conditions United, which is a nonprofit. So it's the sister company to Tick Warriors. We're doing the education and the research and the advocacy, because those are also important, as well as having the actual tools to protect yourself.
Perfect. And while to piggyback on what you just said there, I'm speaking to you who's listening to us on Facebook right now. In order to help us get this information out, if you leave a comment and hit the like button, what'll happen, that tells Facebook that people are interested in what we're talking about, and it will help get the message out. So it's real important to get this message out to anybody. So just take a moment, just write any kind of comment. You can ask a question. I'll pass that along to Jennifer so she can answer that if you have a specific question, or if you just want to say hello, just type in a comment, and that will help get this message out, because these live sessions live on afterwards as a recording. And again, this is the time of year where the ticks are getting active. They're coming out. We're starting to get active again. I make a joke up here in Central New York. You can tell it's spring because there's roadkill. And I know how terrible that is, but it's the truth. The animals are out of their burrows. They're moving around, and you can smell that skunk from a mile away. And that's the smell of spring up here, right? So if these mammals are coming out of their burrows, they've been feeding ticks all winter. The ticks are coming out, and they're going to fall off, and they're going to look for a new host. And this is when the interaction starts to happen. So it's not too early to be thinking about prevention.
No, it's not. So should we talk about property?
Absolutely.
Yep. Let's do that really quick. And I know that our time is winding down, but
whoops.
Tick Warriors has two different products for
Nope.
protecting your property. We have a yard spray, which is what you spray on your grass areas. And both of these products I'm going to tell you about tonight are literally safe enough to spray around your children and your pets. There's no dry time required. It's biodegradable, food grade ingredients, and they will kill the ticks within 20 minutes or less. It also kills mosquitoes, chiggers, cockroaches, ants, etc. So,
and is it's safe? It's relatively safe for children and pets, and you don't have to. You have to wait for it to dry or something.
You don't have to. I've actually, we've got a field service division, and we've had people out in the yard working, or children playing over on the swing set, or the cat walking through the yard. The active ingredient is a soap, and then it has citric acid and coconut oil and all food grade safe ingredients. They're all considered EPA minimum risk ingredients. So that's where the rubber meets the road. I started Tick Warriors because I had a child myself when I got really sick, and as sick as I got, I did not want to spray the yard with poisons. And when I ended up starting this company, I looked around until I could find a product that exceeded that first generation of green products. We all have, or not all of us, but a lot of people that care about the environment have gone out with gumption, and that first round of products doesn't always work, right? But this
absolutely
generation
that's one of
we
right
have at Tick Warriors is safe and effective.
And it works.
We have customers that have said it's been life-changing for them in terms of being able to enjoy being outside. Because if you can't be outside, what is life about, right? It's like,
what's the point?
Like what you said, you gotta have the tools to go out and be safe, but also to know that you're protected. The second yard product we have, pest control, and this is predominantly a repellent. It will kill the ticks, but it also repels. So that where you use this product, and I don't know if you can see it, the fine print there on the camera or not, but this is for your natural areas and your wooded areas. So down here, a lot of homes have grass right around their house, and then they're surrounded by woods. We're kind of on the urban, peri-urban interface, and then we have a lot of rural properties as well. So where this product is really good is to spray in those leaf litter, mulch areas, and the first 8 to 10 feet of the woods on your property barriers, because that is going to repel the ticks. So first of all, it will kill them, but then also it has a residual that lasts for up to 30 days, and it will repel the ticks. So we have people that spray as often as every month, especially during the peak seasons. And we have some people that spray once a year. It's all going to depend on your particular property and what is going on your yard and land.
And since you bring that up, the basics are to help reduce. You're not going to prevent, but around the house, if you keep the grass short, right, and allow the sunshine in and allow it to dry out, don't keep it moist.
Yes.
24 hours.
That's
7 days a week.
That's great for the black-legged tick.
Yeah.
They really can't survive in that short grass. Again, the Lone Star tick, different game. It will go out into the grass. So that's why we like to have this two-pronged approach in areas that have both kinds of ticks, especially. So you spray your grass, you kill all the ticks that are there.
Yeah.
Or not all of them. I'm going to say we can never guarantee a reduction to zero, but
right. It's all about risk management. Right?
Exactly. It is risk management, because you can always have a bird or a rabbit or squirrel or, dog, whatever, something comes through your yard and drops some other ticks.
Exactly.
And that is where the repellent is really nice to have, the pest control, because it will help repel other ticks that may enter in the area for whatever reason.
Okay. So we are going to be winding down in a second here. If you have a question for Dr. Platt, please go ahead and type it in and we'll get it over to her. So I'll give you a minute or two to do that. Our system takes a second or two. There's a delay in that. So if you can do that. And if your question isn't getting through, you may be listening or watching this feed kind of on a secondary thing. So if you're on your phone, just tap the video itself and that'll bring you right to the comments that are actually attached to the video. And then we can see them. And
while you're waiting for that,
yeah.
I can mention that we are giving a 10% discount off of Tick Warriors purchases on our website with the code Lyme Ninja.
And whoops, hang on. I thought I put it up there. Oh, where did it go? I was all so proud of myself. I didn't save it. Here, let me try it again. Hang on. Here it goes. Add banner. There it is. Woohoo!
Yeah.
See, look, how fancy is that?
To encourage your listeners to, go online, check out our website and our store, and use that code to get 10% discount.
Yeah,
we also have $5 flat rate shipping.
So does the bug spray, and you've mentioned several of them, but let's talk about that first personal repellent. Yeah. Do you like soak your whole body, take a shower in it, or are the wrists and arms kind of entry points enough? What do you do?
So what we do is we just start down at our feet and we're spraying. It's a pump sprayer. So it's kind of like, I don't know what the good analogy is. It's like
sunscreen.
Yeah. Sunscreen that's, pump
so
spray.
You spray everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you need a bottle by your dresser. You need a bottle by the front door, and then you need a bottle in your backpack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or wherever, right?
So you always have it with you. So.
Okay. So let's show people let's see if I can do this. Let's show people your website.
Okay.
And so that's you. That's what I was reading.
Uh-huh.
But let's go to the home page here. And that should look familiar. So this is tickwarriors.com, and this has all these products that we've been talking about. And again, for people, property, and pets.
Yeah.
And so this is let's bring up the first one here. This is the first product you talked about, the how is it pronounced? Bio-UD or Bio-UD?
Bio-UD.
Bio-UD. And so this is safe to spray on for pregnant women, for children. You don't have to worry about the toxicity like permethrin, and you don't have to worry about it not being effective. Right.
And actually, I'm so glad you said that. Let's see. Somewhere I've got a copy of my study. They did a study where they compared those two compared permethrin and DEET and the Bio-UD on ticks effectiveness side by side. And the Bio-UD went toe to toe in terms of effectiveness, that if a tick was actually forced to choose a cloth between a cloth that was soaked with the DEET and a cloth that was soaked with the Bio-UD, it would go to the DEET first.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to highlight, I was really impressed by, you talk about, is the Toto.
Yeah.
The pet that prevents the ticks from latching on. And so that's super cool. The other thing that's interesting, so I really hadn't checked out your website much before tonight.
Uh-huh.
The stuff is cheap. I don't know what I was expecting, but you know, it's there. It's not like $30 a bottle or something, or 45 or a crazy price like that.
Yeah, and you know the cost. Yeah, you're right. It's the cost of protection. Like this little bit amount of money, if you spend this up front and take those precautions, that's way cheaper than getting treated with a disease on the backside.
Yep. Shannon has an interesting question. Can you use the yard sprays inside?
Oh, great question, Shannon. You know, they're predominantly outside products. The pest control product can be used to repel and to kill cockroaches and other things like that. I do, because it's a soap-based product. You have to be careful about where you're spraying it. Like you could spray it along baseboards and things like that. I'm looking at my baseboards, and but it also works really great. I'm glad you asked that, because the other thing that works really great on is livestock and also poultry. So people that have farms can use that product really well to help with controlling tick populations.
And let me pull it up. So I don't get confused. The yard spray or the pest control? Which one are we talking about?
Product.
The pest control product. Okay, let me bring that up here. Come on. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. I have one client who has a pig sanctuary. She, rescues wild pigs, and when people, when the pigs first come in, they can be really covered with ticks, or they're out in the woods and they haven't really been handled by humans much, so they're pretty wild. And she's able to spray them from a distance with the pest control and just wait like 30 seconds. And then she very quickly uses her hand and is able to rub off the dead ticks.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm thinking about our cows. I don't know how they are on ticks, but the fly problem.
Yeah.
And, we've used all kinds of different things for flies, including permethrin. And it would be nice to give them something a little more gentle that works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's our last question. And is there a difference in kind of product blend for people who are just taking a walk? Like, I know Aurora's got her Rusty the rescue dog, so they go on like just kind of gentle walks around the perimeter of the yard versus somebody who's going into the woods. Mm-hmm. Is there a risk difference there, or really are you as much risk taking the little yard walk as you are going into the woods?
It's going to depend, right? It's really going to depend on your environment. I will have a client who has almost no ticks on their property and hasn't seen any ticks for a while. And within a quarter of a mile, have another client who has an almost infestation of ticks. So it really depends on the wildlife that you have in your yard. How I think that we haven't looked enough at all the different ecosystem influences. Like if we had a healthy ecosystem, how that can influence and manage the tick population. So, I hate to say it, but it depends.
Yeah. Well, it's the honest answer, right? As opposed to saying, no, this is, let's make something up.
Yeah.
So right. So you need to know your property. You need to know your environment. You need to be aware. And, so you can talk to people who are out, neighbors, right? That's one thing. Sometimes the local health department will do a tick drag through an area. So you can contact them and see what that's like. But that doesn't get down to what you're talking about, the microenvironment, the microclimate. You might have an infestation of, I don't know, mice or voles or something like that. And I mean, this is one of my favorite stories is we have barn cats, and they did such an awesome job keeping away squirrels and chipmunks. And so we're able to put bulbs out and all kinds of fancy flowers, and they stayed away. We rescued 2 dogs, and the dogs kept the barn cats in the barn, and all of a sudden the rodent population exploded. I mean, exploded. And they ate everything. They ate all our flowers. It was terrible. So we had to figure out, okay, how can we get the dogs and the cats to be friends, or to move the dogs out of the way so the cats can come back and take care of our rodent problem. And so that changed within 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And we thought we had everything taken care of, but the microenvironment is really important. And I forgot, this is my last question for you, and then I'm going to set you up. What I'm going to want you to do after you answer my question is, I want you to give a voicemail message to the Lyme community, to the community at large, about your take-home message, what you like to tell them about tick prevention. So just put that in the back of your mind for a second. And so my last question is with you, and I asked this before we went live, and I forgot to weave it in earlier, is can people release animals? Can people encourage different kind of animals or fowl? And what are they in particular to eat the ticks? Because ticks are food to somebody, right? Everybody's somewhere on the food chain.
They are. And
so what can we do?
It's a great question, because I've had more than one person say to me, what benefit are ticks in the ecosystem, right? So yes, you're right. They're food to something else as well. And so I have a lot of people that say they have guineas. They have helped keep the tick population down with guineas. There's been some interesting research done out of Old Dominion where they looked at the effectiveness of guineas, and they could not prove that they were effective. And in fact, they actually found ticks on the guineas. So the guineas were eating ticks, but then the ticks were eating the guineas too. But as far as natural controls, we love opossums because they're going to eat ticks, and they can eat thousands of ticks. It's hard to know if it's a season or in their lifetime, but they're good at tick control. And even things like keeping snakes around, because the snakes eat the mice, right, that have the ticks on them. So there's just a lot of nuances to the ecosystem that we're really not taking into account. And of course, deer, the big problem with deer is they have no apex predators anymore, in a lot of areas, and their populations are going unchecked.
Yeah, my aunt lives in a neighborhood about an hour from here that abuts a state park. And the deer know it's a state park and they're protected, and they're just overrun the place. And it's like almost everybody in this neighborhood, and the houses go right up against the woods there. So it's just, it's the greatest environment for ticks. And
it is.
The interface between humans and ticks there is terrible.
Yes, you've got it. And we've actually got a lot of development coming into my area, and I'm concerned because as we lose more land cover, there'll be more and more interface, that edge between the humans and the, all the nature trails and the woods and the deer. We have a sign down the road right in town that says, "Watch out for deer and walkers," right? Because there's deer all
not deer with walkers, deers and walkers. All right, I lied. One last question from Shannon. She's been so good and hanging on. Thank you for staying all the way with us, Shannon. We appreciate you. So you get the last question, Shannon. And she asks, is it safe to use sprays around water, such as small ponds, fountains, or swimming pools on the property? So that's a really technical question. That's a great question.
It is a good question. The pest control product can actually be used on waterways to help control mosquito larvae. We have a lot of properties with ponds or that are using that for the mosquito control, as well as for spraying around the edges, of course, for tick management.
So it'll kill the mosquitoes or the ticks, but and not the koi.
Yeah, mosquito larvae.
Okay, excellent. All right, and now this is your chance. So this is, just think of it as you've called your favorite person up, and you want to tell them, they ask you the question, what should I do for tick prevention, and you're just going to answer it. You couldn't get them live, but you've got them on voicemail. So what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say that, they need to know that they don't have to compromise their quality of life, and they can still enjoy the out of doors with products such as the ones that we have at Tick Warriors. There are safe and effective tools out there to help give you the control and take back your life and be out in the environment, enjoying nature without being in constant fear of a tick bite.
All right, Dr. Platt, thank you so much. It's been awesome. And hopefully we'll get to talk some other time soon. It's been a ton of fun. Thank you
so much for having me.
Coming on live on Facebook with us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.